Hi, welcome to another episode of A Woman Full of Soul. I am Mary, and today I have Leona Carter joining me, who has a coaching business and also some other extra special things she's doing underneath her coaching business. So, Leona, can you explain to everyone what you do every day, what your normal day looks like?
Awesome. Absolutely. So hello, everyone. So my name is Leona Carter, and I'm an international empowerment speaker, best-selling author, life strategist for married women, and a talk show host. And so my day-to-day is really helping speakers go from overlooked to overbooked and helping married women build intimacy in their marriage. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Can you explain a little bit more about your program with women building intimacy into their marriage? Can you explain a little bit more
Yeah.
about what that looks like?
Absolutely. And so I am married going on 24 years now, and my husband and I have six beautiful children. So we were high school sweethearts, married, 24 years ago. And so back then for me, I was a Christian growing up in church and, you know, um, emphasis on, abstaining from sex before until I was married was a big deal in our culture, in our, religious organization. And so, we did the best we could, and that's what we did. Well, once I got married, my question was, now what? Now what do I do? And so we struggled for years trying to answer that question. Now what? Right. And so when I realized that something was different, I mean, I knew from my honeymoon, okay,
Mhm.
that something wasn't right. I was wired differently. I didn't know. So here I am 24 years later, and I realize I struggle with intimacy issues. And so now it's time. I mean, I've overcome a lot, and I constantly am intentional about continuing to build intimacy. And I knew I was not alone. I knew. And so I actually, connected with a relationship coach and just kind of asked some questions. And they told me, like, Leona, wait a minute, you are on to something here, And so as I began to do market research and really explore, I knew I was not an alien from Mars, okay? I was not alone. Other women were going through the exact same thing that I was. So now I host a platform to really make it a safe space for women to express concerns and, as we grow together, to continually build intimacy in our marriage, not just have sex, right? If this world is sex saturated, right? But after that's all said and done, then what, right? So it's really, important to build intimacy. That's what's going to outlast sex, is really building intimacy in a marriage. So that's what I help and coach women with.
Right. And so that's the full coaching business, or there's another part to your coaching that you do?
Well, right
Just
now I
just
do
one.
speaking and then
Right.
one-on-one coaching. And down the road, there will be some group coaching.
Okay, great. And where do you get your inspiration from every day? What inspires you in your life?
I would say my six legacies, my six children, my six
Yeah.
reasons why
Mhm.
is why I do the work. And so I want to, really set the trajectory of what life is going to look like different for them than it was for me. And so that is my inspiration. I want to be able to, you know, um, build businesses and be able to pass it on to them so they can now, recreate the business or carry on what I've started. Either way, I want them to have the option. And so it's my aspiration every day is these six children.
Now, the six children that you have, what is the breakdown between male and female?
I have four girls and two boys. And
Okay.
what's also awesome is, we were blessed to adopt. And so,
Okay.
I say I had three kids in my stomach and three kids in my heart.
Awesome.
And it is unfortunate, actually, after our third pregnancy, it took such a hit on our intimacy like
Oh,
you
sure.
wouldn't believe, like to the 10th power. Like we, even at the after the third child, I was on bed rest from 6 months pregnant until
Mm,
I delivered. And then after that, we said, well, yeah, if we have any more children, we'll adopt,
mm,
because of the struggle is real and it transcends every part of my life, especially pregnancy.
right. What are their ages now?
They range from 12 years old as the youngest up to 22 years old.
Okay. And so have you had to have sex talks with them already? Have you talked about this at all? Like any part
Oh,
of the
yeah.
category? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then my oldest daughter, she actually was like, you know what? You should build because I was telling her eventually down the road I want to build curriculum that
Right.
marriage groups take each, that groups work together on, not so much the
Mhm.
curriculum of me answering the questions, but
Right.
me posing and asking the questions so the couple can answer them, right? And so my daughter's like, yeah, you should do something for single women too in
Yeah.
preparation for marriage, right? And so
Yeah.
I got a lot of things in the works in the future.
That's amazing. That's just great. Yeah. And I'm sure, yeah. So I have two children of my own, and um, pregnancy causes you to change in multiple ways, right? So, which can totally throw off whatever sexual intimacy or any intimacy you've had present,
Mm-hmm.
depending on your partner, what they, who they are, what their makeup is, how they handle
Right.
um, a child entering into the scene or how they don't handle it. And then also how
Mm-hmm.
you handle it or don't handle it. So I can imagine after the third child, first you're probably exhausted depending on the space
Oh
in
my
between the ages, right? You're probably like, how do I do this? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure that it takes a lot. And having those tools on how to be able to cope with those transitions and changes and continue to build intimacy in your relationship. And I know that that's really important.
Oh
So thank
yeah.
you for the work that you're doing and just the way you're bringing it all to light and trying to help people in that capacity. What is one challenge you are facing and trying to overcome right now? This can be across the board. Anything in your life,
Okay.
one challenge you'd want to share with other women that you're facing right now and you're really trying to overcome.
You know what? What I realize is one challenge, even as I work with women,
Hmm.
women don't operate in their full power and unapologetically hit
Right.
the platform, right? There's a lot of reservations. There's so many, mind games that goes on. And so, over the years, it takes some time to kind of really get over that. And so, I work with women that, aren't playing full out. They're not. And so when I play full out, they're like, oh my God. And it's, looking at me like, well, how is she doing and how, and I teach people. So confidence is really a struggle for a lot of women. And
Mm,
I teach women to lead from where you are and
mhm.
seek to learn, use the 90%, lead with
Yeah.
that and seek to learn the other. It's like, whatever you're good at, you lead with that and seek to learn the other 90%. And so, for instance, like if you're going to a networking event, and maybe you're good at marketing, that's all you do. You don't cook, you don't clean, you just market, that's it, right? So if
Mhm.
you're going to a networking event, you lead with your skills, your
Right.
strength. Your 10% is that marketing. That's what you're good at. That's what you blow it out the water with, right? And so just lead with that and seek to learn the 90%. So while you're there, learn about other people, learn about other avenues, other ways of doing things. And when you ask the question, by the time you're all said and done at the network event, they'll think you're the genius, right? And that's how it is. And so it's like lead with the 10%, seeking to learn the 90, and doing that time and time again, you build your confidence. So this is, a phenomena of women not operating in confidence. And we're talking women with
Right.
PhD degree. It don't matter,
Right.
or, people that have no degrees are more confident than people who, it's just like, how does that work? Because it's a mind thing. It's not, the accolades that you have or the titles or letters
Right.
behind your name. It's a mind thing. And so that's definitely an ongoing struggle.
What is one thing that you would tell every woman? If there was one thing that you could tell them and you wanted them to know, what would that one thing be? Like that one nugget that you'd be like, these women have to know this. And if they don't know this, they're going to be out of luck. Like they just have to know it.
You know what? Women need to know that you are enough right now. Right now. You don't have to do anything else to add to your tool belt to think you're, to be validated. You are enough right now. And we're always growing, we're always evolving, but you have enough in you right now to change the trajectory of someone else's life for the rest of their life, right with the tools you have right now. So stop trying to get ready, analysis paralysis, always getting ready to. It's time to do the thing now because you are enough right now.
Yeah. And so not only do you have it in you to change the directory for someone else, but also for yourself. So really
Absolutely.
having that
Yeah.
empowerment to know that you can change things for yourself too, and that it is possible. How would you encourage a woman or help a woman to overcome that self-doubt that always comes up, or that feeling of guilt that comes up, where, and I'm saying this because you made the comment of women being unapologetically them. Usually when they have to apologize, or they feel like they have to apologize, they feel some form of guilt, some form of shame, some form of doubt in their mind. Again, that lack of confidence, like you said. How would you explain how women can overcome that? Or what tools would you recommend to use, or whatever?
Okay. I would say, start small and gradually grow. And so, when people think about, operating in their power, they think of something humongous, right? Being on stage, talking to an audience of 20,000. We're not talking, that's not operating in your power. It's the little things you do every day. And so, I would encourage you to just, start, reaching out and talking to people that you don't know, small conversations, one-on-one, so that you can build your confidence and be authentically you. And I say unapologetically because it's like, you don't have to be, all the checklists that we have to do
Right.
this and that and that. Whoever you are right now is enough. So operate in that vein and not have to be somebody else. And so, start with small conversations of, talking one-on-one with someone, and then one on many, and then, eventually build up so that whatever platform you're on, whatever room you're in, whether it's 5 people or 500, you can be you and don't have to feel less than because you don't have what other women do.
Yeah. And then what about self-talk? Have you done anything with self-talk and working through that, or no?
I
Have you
I
seen a
actually
lot of
have.
women with negative self-talk, or?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's ongoing, and with the self-talk, it's there. However, we have to do it afraid, whatever it is. Whatever
Mhm.
it is. Whatever it is, you have to do it afraid because you'll get the negative self-talk. And I have part of my coaching, there's a whole area of the negative self-talk, right? Now, what do you believe? It's like about, what do you believe? Do you believe you know can it change and impact someone's life? Sometimes we believe that, but when it's time to do that, then
Mhm.
that negative head trash comes and talks to us and things like that. And so, I do take women through different affirmations and really reframing the mindset, because we've been, the TV and the media and the magazine sets the foundation of what we should be like. And so when we don't meet that standard, then there's a negative head talk again. And so it's ongoing for sure.
Do you have any recommendations for decreasing that?
I would say
Has
what
anything helped with you?
yeah, what it's about what you're feeding your mind. So, it's like I tell my adult college kids this too. It's like, as a person, there's two sides of you. There's a
Mhm.
strong man and a weak man. everything you do is feeding one of those men.
Okay.
Women, well, we'll say women.
Hmm.
Everything you do, everything you watch, everything you say, everything you read is feeding one of those women. And so the one who, eats the most is the loudest. They say the saying, the dog who you feed the most barks the loudest. And
Hmm.
so it's about what you're inputting, the information you're using and implementing every day. It is feeding one of those men. And so a lot of times, the gossip and the, unhealthy things on the TV that we're listening to, it feeds that negative woman, and so we have to change what we're eating, change the diet we're eating so we can feed that healthy woman. And it makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah, I know the other thing that I've seen in my own life is, and other people that I know, that if they experienced a lot of negative talk from their family growing up or people who surrounded them growing up, it's now ingrained in them. So now you have to
Hmm.
go back and undo that
Right.
constant conversation that's been playing in your head since God knows when, literally. So you have
Right.
to like pull yourself out of it and recognize, like you said, I am enough, right? That's one of the first things you recognize. I
Hmm.
am enough. And move from that scared state that you were talking about to
Hmm.
courage. Have the courage
Right.
to go and have the conversation with the other person and know that something beautiful and good can come of it, not just to have the courage to do it, but that something beautiful will come from having that conversation, and you're creating yourself as you go along, right? You're not just
Absolutely.
stuck being this one person or this one type of person.
Right.
You're creating, and you're creating those
Hmm.
relationships and creating those friendships or whatever it is, and those those business encounters or whatever it is, all the networking. And it's not just networking, it's also
Right.
building
Right.
a relationship with other people. So really,
Absolutely.
pulling back from the self-doubt and knowing, and then undoing all the thoughts with that, um, moving from self-doubt to self-courage, right, and courageous
Oh my
action.
God. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like growing up, like you talk about your family feeds you. It's like growing up eating hamburgers and French fries all the time. You're overweight, you're unhealthy, and I'm talking figuratively. You're unhealthy, but you learn how you can live your best life by changing your diet. And so now, maybe you've gone vegan now. Now you're living life is better, but you can't stop eating the healthy thing, because the minute you go back to the burger and fries, you're gonna have the outcome of the burger and fries. Same thing with our
Right.
what we're putting in our spirit man, I call it. What we're feeding it is what will grow. So when they say you are what you eat, boy, that is the truth anyhow.
Yeah, that is true. And yeah, I was just thinking like what you al- it's part of what you allow your spirit to experience, but then also what your spirit does experience, right? Whether
Hmm.
you consciously allow it or not,
Right.
your spirit has still experienced it, and so your spirit can become darkened in some ways by that, and
Right.
really move into that negative self-talk or move into that zone because of that exposure and experience.
Right. So
Granted,
true.
not everybody can remove everything negative from their life, right? Like
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
this, life happens,
Right.
life happens, but
Yeah.
um, to stay grounded in who you are to get through life is a beautiful
Right.
thing, you
And then
know?
it's about how you respond to it, because
Right,
yeah, life definitely happens. And so, we're not judged by what happens to us, we're judged by how we respond to what happens to us. And that goes along with what we're feeding. So if we're feeding, gossip and negativity
right.
with our girlfriends all the time, when things happen to us, we go right there. Oh, see, I didn't, and just go down the negative path. But when
Mm,
we're, doing the opposite, then we, go down the opposite path.
right. Yeah. I agree with that. That's true, and I've seen that in so many cases across the board, where you can really get caught up in all of that stuff. And so I guess the other piece to that is you may be asked in some ways, or you may have to ask yourself, is this something I still want in my life and to be influenced by? Do I need to be moving my direction a little bit and away from this group of people, depending on who the people are, and if you're able to do that? Or is there a better way for me to keep this good outlook and to move in a good direction, and to keep fostering those good values or whatever they are? And are there things I need to move away from that are constantly causing me to self-doubt, right? Or constantly causing me to question my worth or my value, or constantly causing me to berate myself in my head, right? So do they need to be removed is another conversation you would have to have with yourself, a reflection you would have to have with yourself, and to maintain that healthy core that you want to have, really.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Just like you're saying, change the food habit. It's exactly the same thing. It's like, do you remove it? And of course, there's times when everybody, even in their diet, slips up and goes back, right? They're like, oh, just let me have this for one day.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go back to the other way the next day.
Yeah, and we're human.
Yeah, and nobody's perfect, and you don't have to be perfect, but you do want to be healthy. You want to be in a good place inside of your core self. And that includes eliminating really negative self-talk in a lot of ways, if you've been exposed to it in high volumes. Throughout your life, or even if you choose to do it to yourself. Like, I know there's a lot of women who are major perfectionists, and so they have that constant dialogue in their head, putting themselves down, thinking it helps them on that path, but it doesn't, and actually hinders them. So yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, and I think women by nature, we're community oriented, and so that's why we can just connect with our girlfriends and just talk about any and everything, and but even as we're constantly growing in our personal development, you'd be surprised what can be a pivotal moment for us, increasing our personal development. And sometimes sometimes our girlfriends are there only for a season, and you need to know when that season is up. And so, because as you're going on another level, everybody can't go with you to that next level, right? Because of the thinking. And so some people you're surrounding, they keep you stuck in the former level when you're trying to grow to that next level. And so you have to constantly evaluate, even as you get to the next level, and get new acquaintances, friends, business partners. Some people are there for a lifetime, and some people are there for a lesson or a season, and you have to be able to gauge which one is which.
Yeah, that is true. So many beautiful changes to figure out along the way.
Right.
It is definitely a journey, and figuring it out is not always easy, but if you stay true to who you are, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it helps you weed it out.
It does. I mean, sometimes, we want to be, we don't like being uncomfortable. We don't like losing, people or friends or acquaintances, and we don't want to be uncomfortable. But sometimes, I say some things are painful but necessary, because in order for us to grow, we have to go through some things in order to grow. And, it doesn't always feel good, but in the end, it's going to work out better for us. But, that's why a lot of people, this entrepreneurial journey is not easy, and it's not for everybody, right? And so, it's a ever evolving, growing journey.
Leona, who is one person in your life that has inspired you beyond belief, and just really deeply touched you, that you like really draw strength from? It can be someone who you personally know. It can be someone who's alive, someone who has died. It can be a celebrity that you never met that maybe one day you want to, or maybe you've met them already. I don't really know. But who is that one person that has truly inspired you and brought you to a deeper level of everything than you could imagine?
You know what? I would say, God, that's kind of a hard one.
I know. So you can think about that. And if you have to say more than one person, it's okay.
I do say, well, Lisa Nichols, she's a life coach and a renowned speaker and author. She has, a transformational story of how, she came from nothing and had to build on that
Mhm.
to have something. And so, Lisa Nichols, she's really transformational, and, really uses her story to, and she's very open and transparent, and, unapologetic about it. And so I really admire her, journey.
When did you first experience Lisa Nichols? Was it a while ago or recently, or when
Yeah,
were you first exposed to her?
probably about 7 years ago.
Okay.
About 7 years ago. And, I would see her journey and how she, just really begin to grow. And, she was a renowned speaker and
Mhm.
everything, all that. And then she got to a point where she could address her physical health. And
Mhm.
then she, the same mindset that she put into everything else, she now was intentional in putting it into her health, and, made the same transformation in her health as well. And so it's about that mindset. You can put it towards anything you need to, you know what I mean, to really grow. And we saw her do that over the years, and it's been really inspiring.
That's awesome. I'm just learning of her. Maybe within the last 6 months,
Oh,
I've been
okay.
exposed to some of her things, but what I've been exposed to, I've really liked. So
Yeah.
it's new to me, but I'm excited about it. I love her quotes, and there's just so many different things that she's done that has really begun to open me up in a new way, in a new direction. Really
Right.
encouraging, really, in multiple ways, and makes me think
Yeah.
about things I didn't think about in a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
she really pulls on your thinking. There was I was in California for my book tour a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
and her office is in Carlsbad, California. And so her office was transitioning, so they were really remodeling. And so just randomly stopped by her office and left a signed autograph book for her staff to give
That's
to her.
awesome.
So, who knows if she ever got it? No clue, but I did. I was just like, wow, this is where, I was in the set where she videotapes and,
Hmm.
does her shows. And I was like, whoa, Lisa Nichols,
Right, and I'm
Yeah, it's
sure
kind
that encouraged you even more. Like in your
yeah,
own journey, that encouraged you even more, and it's because you had the courage to take the step to do it too. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you know,
So it was cool.
great. How would you, thinking of her and then thinking of yourself, and then everything you've also, experienced in your life, your faith, all of that. How would you define a woman full of soul? If you could use one word to define a woman full of soul, what would that one word be? And I know you may need a couple minutes to think about this. I don't know.
No,
Or
I
maybe
got my word, girl. I got my word.
okay. So tell me what your word is and why is that your word?
Passion.
Okay.
Man, passion. Because, I mean, I'm one of those multi-passionate entrepreneurs, and I've been trying to, kind of
Right.
focus it down. But, one thing I'm passionate about is foster care and adoption.
Mhm.
And because I was able to do that in my life, not as a foster child, but as a foster and adoptive parent. And
Mhm.
so I knew at the age of 16 years old, before a husband, before family, kids, I knew I would be a foster parent. And so
Okay.
I knew that I wanted to change the trajectory of a child's life, right?
Okay.
And so I did that all through and so I've been a foster parent for about 17 years now. And so I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about helping women. I'm passionate about so much, because I'm passionate about really women growing, just growth. And so a lot of times my passion, it comes across vibrant and loud and like, what is wrong with Leona? But I'm passionate because, back to that same word that I said, because you are enough. Guess what? At 16 years old, or actually 21 years old, when I started to be a foster parent, I didn't have a PhD. I didn't have my BA degree, but guess what? I was enough to change the trajectory of a child's life for the rest of their life, no matter what, what's going on. And so I was enough. And so I've taken that, and so now my adopted children, is 18 years old, on his way to college this fall. The next one's 17 years old, going to college next year. And the youngest is 12 years old. But guess what? They now have a different life, a better life, because I unapologetically operated in my passion and said yes. Not, well, I don't know if I could, and I don't know. I did it. And guess what?
Yeah.
Their life will never be the same because
Right.
I said yes. And so I'm super, super passionate about a lot, but that's one of the areas I'm passionate about.
So tell me why you think it's so important for women to have passion,
You know what?
or to be passionate about what they're doing, or I really probably just to have passion in their life. Why is that so important?
Because when people fail you, when the circumstances is not saying what you know is to be true, when
Mm-hmm.
all else fell, your passion, your reason why stands the test of time. And when you don't have passion, when you don't have your reason why, you'll crumble with everything else. And so, if you're a person that, wants to help abuse children, why? Because you have been abused and you are passionate about helping abused children. People might say, they really don't need help, or you're not good enough, or you're not, but you know what? Your passion is going to transcend all that, because you remember how it felt when you were lost, when you had no one to turn to. And so your passion is going to override all of that. And so I definitely, encourage women to find what you're passionate about. You're passionate about something. I promise you, there's something that you can talk endless about, that you get fired up. You might be a real laid back, chilled out introvert, but you get to talking about
Right.
your thing,
Yeah.
and you will be passionate
Yeah,
about
because
it.
you light up. You light up when you talk about what you love. I think that's the other thing. Like
Yes.
it radiates through you to other people, and they can see it. They see that you
Mm-hmm.
care about it, that it means something to you, that it has value to you, and that it's really important to you, and
Yeah,
it makes
absolutely.
the difference, right?
So yeah,
So
that's
I
my word, passion.
so my other question with this is, why is it important for women to have passion in their relationship?
Because again, oops. Let me make sure I'm still here. Okay,
You're
mic
still
check.
here. I
Okay.
still see you.
In their relationships. Wow, because guess what? Relationships are not perfect. Life is not perfect. And you have to, remain passionate to, again, stand the test of time. So let's use marriage, for instance.
Hmm.
So, I think about the word commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment, or actually, is it commitment that I wanted? Commitment is, showing up even though you're not in the same feelings that you first made the commitment to. So here we go. I do, for better or for worse. Oh my God, I love him so much. So 24 years later, you, are you still committed? Are you still passionate? Because that's going to help you show up every day. When the love is gone, you still show up as you're building and growing, right? And so passionate, having passion in relationship is super, super important because it helps you show up every day.
Do you have any recommendations for women to keep passion in their relationships? Relationship with a significant other, or relationships like as in their friendships or whoever they're literally coming in contact with every day. And you can have different answers for each category. It's like
Okay, got it. So with with marriage, so that's my toughest,
right.
relationship, I would say, or the one that's ever evolving, always growing, and I have to be intentional about. But I would definitely, with a marriage relationship, really staying present with the other person, because life, careers, children can easily help you lose focus, and you get distracted. It's like the shiny object syndrome. They waving in front of you like, whoa, and you get
Yeah.
distracted.
Or you get
And
really worried too. You get distracted from worry or something else
oh
that
my
pops up,
gosh.
like say, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, whatever that shiny object syndrome is. And then with your girlfriends, you want to make sure, like your girlfriends relationships, you want to make sure that you're that you're supporting each other. You're not always being drained, giving advice and supporting and helping, but don't have that in return. So you want to make
Right.
sure all your relationships are mutually beneficial. Even if it's a employer, employee, friends, cut family, it's mutually beneficial, because at some point you'll get so drained that you don't want to show up anymore, because the
Right.
passion is gone and the thrill is gone, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so just really, making sure it's mutually beneficial in a friendship.
Yeah, and in the workplace. Yeah, because that can just like processing exactly what you said. So yes, it's very true that it can be taken, like if you're constantly drained all the time,
Mm-hmm.
or say you have friends and they really are your friends, but then they go through this huge season, like years of season, where they're just constantly criticizing every decision you make, right? Or criticizing
Right.
everything about you. I don't know if you're still gonna be that person's friend. Like I don't know
Right.
if that would actually work out or not, because then
Right.
your passion isn't there. Everything is drained. Or if you feel like you have to constantly defend what you're trying to do, or the changes that you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to make, or even who you are, that's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Right. It's
You know that.
draining. It is.
Yeah. So of course your passion's going to be, I'm passionate to not be to not like you. I don't know.
Right.
Nobody wants to be passionate about that though. So I'm just thinking, like when I look back over my life, there have been moments where I've had friendships where they have been very critical, and in in some ways it hasn't been because I've been doing something wrong, right? Or that I needed to
Mm.
hear the criticism. In some cases it's been because there's been envy or jealousy there, or um, they've been unhappy about something else in their own life, and they see that now I have
Mm.
it, and they're angry that that part's not fixed in their own life, right? Or
Yeah.
something like that. And I don't know if these happen in friendships with men, like men who have male friendships. I don't know if it's the same dynamic, but I know for women in relationships with, like, friendships, what I mean, in friendships with other women,
Mm-hmm.
this happens a lot. Like it's not just one little thing that comes up. So in those moments, it can be really draining. And then of course you do the analysis: do I keep this friend? What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so in those moments, the passion would, the excitement of the friendship would be
Mm-hmm.
gone. Really,
Right.
it
Right.
ends
And then
up
some people
becoming
some people stay your friend not because they actually still support you, but
right.
they're surprised you haven't failed yet. That's why they're still around. They're watching.
Well, or they want to watch you fall. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
other
They're
thing.
watching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, let's see when she messes up so we can point it out to her
Mm-hmm.
again,
Yeah.
since she can't seem to get anything right.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that definitely
Exactly.
happens. And then the same thing with your job. The more passionate you are about your job, I think, and the more you care about the work that you do, and it really speaks to your soul, I think the more good you can do, the more you bring um, to other people, and the more that comes and flows out of you to other people, because you care about it and because you are passionate about it. Yeah.
So true. And then also in the same token, you want to be not, be intentional about not taking on too much, because
Right.
some jobs will take advantage of your good grace, or take advantage of your strength. Like, oh, Leona, she likes to speak, yeah, give it to her. That, we need somebody to speak for the board, give it to her. We need somebody to do this, give it to her, because she can do it. And so they'll take advantage of your strengths, as opposed to being a team effort. They'll take advantage of what you're good at, and people will think, oh my God, everybody likes me because I no, they're just taking advantage of you. At first they liked you, but now they're taking advantage of you.
Right. And so there is a balance about that too. So like say that you have someone above you who usually does the speaking, and they just don't like doing that part, and then they
Mm-hmm.
pass it off onto you because they know that you're good at it, or they think
Mm-hmm.
it's one of your qualities. That's great. But that person above you, are they getting paid higher than you? So that, and part of their job requirement is doing those talks and conversations, doing that speaking,
Right.
and now they're pushing it off onto you, and you're not getting compensated for it. What about that?
Right.
Like, yeah. So
Right.
that's one of those moments where you're talking about where somebody's taking advantage of you, or you're just being used, or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in that way. even though you're passionate about something, it's not working to your benefit if somebody else is
Yeah.
using it just to get what they want out of you without you getting some type of share in that. And
Right.
I know that sounds really negative, especially in Christian terms, like when we talk. Yeah, I know that can sound really bad saying it that way, but you should both be benefiting, like you were saying.
Exactly. Mutually beneficial.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if they see your value in that area, they should compensate you for your value
Mm-hmm.
in that area.
Right.
Right.
Because if they see my value, guess what? Someone else will see my value too and compensate me accordingly if you don't.
Right. Right. That's if the company recognizes that, but then also if the company knows she's never going to leave this company, right? She's so passionate about her company that she'll never go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
So even that would be, I guess there's like a discernment process of your passions too. Like, what are you passionate about, and where do you feel you should be, where it should be mutually beneficial to both, and how and what that looks like, and then what's really in the best interest of you. And I say that because although I'm coming from a Christian background, and Christian background, we're always talking about serving other people. And I do go in with that service mindset, no matter where I work in my family, in my relationships, I go in with that mindset. I've gone in with that mindset for a very long time. Even in those moments, there has to be a moment where you say, is this really what's best for me as well? And if it's not best for you as well, then you should probably look at other options.
Right.
Because you can be as passionate as you want to be, and it lead to your self-destruction. You know?
Right.
So I've given examples, even in the text that, to go with this program, I've given examples that I did so much that I was passionate about, and I just did so much that I literally wore myself out. Like I burnt out. I couldn't function. I had to rest. Like I made myself sick from being so on everything all the time, being on all the time. And so I did end up getting sick from that and had to pull back and say, I'm sorry, but I can't keep doing everything that I'm doing all the time. Yes, I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate about it, but it's not worth me, losing my life over or something like that. And I know that this happens to quite a few people. This isn't just me, but
yep, me too.
yeah, I know
To me
other
too.
people who have been young, and this I also state in my writing with this program. I know other ministers and priests who were passionate about what they do and serving all the time, and ended up having cancer at a very, very, very young age and died because they were so service minded, which is fabulous and great. I'm not saying don't be service minded. That's great. And they were passionate about what they do. But there was a point where it led to a form of self-destruction, where it was internalized in some ways. It was internalized, and the stress of that, even though they were passionate about it, stayed in their body and ended up changing things in their body. So
that's so true. And then in the business school that I'm in, that where I met you at, the business school, it was really good about letting us know, we think that because we're passionate or love something that we have to monetize everything, right? And so, but what I've learned is to use my passions in healthy ways, so I don't need to monetize everything. So one of the things like I said, I'm passionate about foster care and adoption, and I do that in my life, but I don't have a business on it. And another thing I do is I sing, and so I love singing, and so I do karaoke on the weekends is what I do, and so that's how I'm able to channel that passion. So everything doesn't need to be monetized, and you're operating in you're a fulfilled life when you really lean toward your passions or the things that you love to do that makes you fulfilled, and so I love that.
Yeah. Well, and even what you just said, a fulfilling life, and being passionate about what you do leads you to have that more fulfilling life, but then also shows other people it's possible to have a more fulfilling life too, that they can have fulfillment in their own life. as well, and also be healthy within that, right? And not have to have major things happen in their
Right.
relationship. Maybe, I mean, some people, they are so passionate or they're so dedicated to their work that it does take that eye-opening moment of like, stop for a minute and look at what you're doing to yourself in this process. Like I know a lot of people in corporate that have gone through different experiences like that as well, where it's been an eye-opening moment where their doctor has been like, you have to rest and you have to take a break, or you will not be here in 2 more years. Like you can't keep going at this pace. So yeah.
When we know better, we do better.
That's right. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add that I didn't ask you? Maybe there was something you're like, oh, I wish you would ask me about this. I would love to talk about this, or tell all the women this.
I'm so as I help speakers and wives,
Yeah.
if you need, if you are a speaker, a new and emerging speaker, or you're a wife that really wants support as you are building intimacy with your husband, either population, you can learn more about me at heycoachcarter.com, and I would love to support you in any way possible. And I'm just really excited that because recently I've just rebranded, and so as a mother of 6, mothers is who I was helping, and I was passionate about mothers because when you have 6 kids, you learn how to strategize your time. You're a choreographer. You're a taxi driver.
You
You
have
do
to be
everything.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to help mothers really get order in their life, and with time-saving strategies and for busy moms. And so, but recently I changed that up, and so now I serve and help wives because I knew that there was more, and I wanted to kind of help women on a deeper level. And so I just recently did that, and so I'm really excited just to help women. So you can learn more about me at heycoachcarter.com.
Are you also on social media? Do you have an Instagram
I
and all
am.
of that? And where would it be the same thing? Hey, Coach Carter, is that what it is?
Yes, it's Hey Coach Carter. So if you remember the movie Coach Carter, there's a movie out called Coach Carter. And so the domain and everything is Coach Carter. So I couldn't use Coach Carter. So I had to add Hey to the beginning of it. So everything is Hey Coach Carter. Website, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything's Hey Coach Carter. So it can be uniquely mine.
Yeah. But the majority of your services are on your website. Like all of your services are listed there, whereas just pieces maybe on social media. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'd recommend everybody connect on the website first and then go to the social media.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All access and everything. Well, thank you for being on the show today. And it was a pleasure to have you. And I've learned so much even more about you and the beautiful work that you're doing. I am literally really excited for you because you are working with women and because you're working with intimacy in relation to faith, as well as intimacy in general, and helping women to build intimacy in their relationships, but then also to take that to the next level itself within their their most finite relationship, their most intimate relationship with their spouse. And really, I'm sure it must be amazing for you to know and hear and experience their transformation as they go through that process, and how much they change and grow it, and how much more fulfilled they feel after they go through this process you're creating and everything, and talking about it and figuring it out.
For them to know they're not alone, and now I know I'm not alone. So we're on this journey together.
Right. Well, like I was saying, it's beautiful work, especially since faith traditions usually do not talk about this area. It's if they do, it's more like a closed circle conversation, I would say, that maybe we don't know about. So it's good to be able to actually say this is an issue, or there is something here that we have to talk about and address and change for the better, for both people in the relationship and for women.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for your work, and thank you for being on the show today. And everyone else, I will see you next time. Ciao.
Hi.